Well, here we are then for another F1 My Team episode. Today we're here for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. As you guys know, earlier on in the season, round 2 at Imola, the other Italian Grand Prix, and our engine supplier's home race ended in a DNF, so hopefully today that isn't the case. Now, first of all, if you haven't seen the previous episode, before we jump into spoilers, then go check it out, guys. The Dutch Grand Prix linked up in the top right. As you can see in the background, we went ahead and did some weight training for Robert Schwartzman, and to go with that, we're also going to do the final bit of improvements that I know I can do right now, and that is maximizing the driver perks. We've got a load of cash to just spend basically, so we're going to go ahead and use it all up and buy all the remaining perks. So level 3 social media, level 3 power mapping, level 3 media coaching, and level 3 development feedback. So pretty much as good as it gets. All we can do now really is buy facilities, to be honest with you. So yeah, before we head into the race and to this weekend, breaking news: a regulation change is upon us finally. So this might be a chance to fix the brake issues that I had. We don't know what department is affected yet, but hopefully the chassis is one of them, and that way I can get my brakes fixed. But anyway, that side, we're going to move into qualifying and into the action here this weekend. And also worth noting, the first time I'm driving this track since the latest patch. Now, if you guys didn't know, in the most recent patch, they changed the way the curbs drive around here. So you can no longer touch the curbs at turn 1 and turn 2, and also turn 4 and turn 5, so the two chicanes basically. And to be fair, in Q1, I found out that some other curbs were causing us trouble as we got a bit crossed up sideways and backwards out of Ascari. So the first lap didn't go according to plan. Luckily, I was able to keep my tyres relatively okay temperature-wise, and I just cooled them off on this little back straight. And I went for another lap straight away. Once I got the temperatures down, I went a bit safer on the second lap, so not quite as fast. You can see here, this time we do get through Ascari and survive. So all we've got to do now is make sure we have a pretty decent final corner, the newly renamed Michele Alboreto curve, aka Parabolica, making our way through nice and easy, running up to the white line perfectly there, and then across the start finish. It's going to be a 1:16.4, and we go P3, so behind the two Red Bulls. That will do for now, and eventually we finish Q1 in 4th place. Schwartzman down in P10, and the top 10 covered by half a second, so a pretty close grid here in Q1 early on. So a good start after recovering from that spin early on. We then move into Q2. I tried my luck on medium because the pace seemed pretty decent actually around here all weekend, so I wanted to try it. I think this is actually a better option for the race if I can make it work. But across the line, it's a 17.0, which is about 6/10 slower than our Q1 lap. We go P9 at the time, I believe, and then eventually got pushed down to P14. So it wasn't a beast, so we had to go on the soft tyre and get to Q3 on this compound. We have a bit of a wiggle through Ascari, shades of Q1, but luckily we survive and keep the car pointing in the right direction. And currently purple in sector 2 right now as we make our way into the final corner here. And this should do the trick, at least for now, getting us into Q2, because if you look at the minimap, there's only 3 other cars on track right now. So this should do it. Across the line, 16.1 personal best, and we go P2, and that is going to do it for us as we move into Q2. So decent stuff. I think in the process, I ended up eliminating my teammate Robert Schwartzman, which is a bit unfortunate, but again, Schwartzman's form lately has really dropped off. I'm not sure what's happening, but ever since I've re-signed him, he hasn't really been performing that well. And the initial promise that was there last season has kind of faded a little bit, which is a bit disappointing. But nonetheless, we moved to Q3. Now, in this session, my best run was my first one. So let's go for a full lap of Monza and let's see what I can do. So run down to turn 1, open the DRS, and you want to spot the 100-meter board into turn 1 and avoid both inside curbs. As you can see, on the anchor, 3rd gear, little clip of the red, white and green curb, which is fine, but avoid the sausage completely. Before you'd cut the first apex, turn 1 a lot, you'd have all 4 walls of your car over the curb. Through Kurwagalande, and now into turn 4 and 5. Again, same story applies, so brake at the 100, just after maybe, down to 4th, avoid the sausage curbs completely because they're going to make you just take off. Bit of a moment on the exit, but we keep the momentum going into Lesmo 1, keeping it nice and tight through there, carrying some good mid-corner speed. Lesmo 2, aggressive on those curbs again, using all the runoff, and then opening the DRS on the run down to La Variante Ascari. At this point, you want to spot the braking. I'd say again about the 100 down to 6th gear for here. Carry that momentum, keep it tight for the right to open the left and carry it flat out on the exit. And then once again flat out for another 5 to 10 seconds before we approach Ascari. Brake at about the 50 meter wall here, which is on the wall on the left hand side. 5th gear, quickly back up to 6th to get the traction down, and then bring the car over to the right if you need to minimise distance and lap time. And across the line we go 16.1, so slightly slower than Q2 I believe, but we go provisional pole for now, and it looks pretty good. And I can tell you, if you look at the screen now, you can see for some reason the AI didn't go out for a final run, so that's it for qualifying. We don't have to go out again, there's no need. I could try to go faster, but there's no need for it, and there's no need to put the extra engine wear on the car. So we called it quits. Pole position for the Italian Grand Prix, and very happy with that. You know, the AI didn't fully maximise their pace in Q3, so we'll take that W and run with it. So P1 for us on pole here at Italy with a Ferrari engine in Ferrari's home race. We'll take that, absolutely. Gasly P2, the big surprise in qualifying on the front row. The AlphaTauri looking very, very fast around here this weekend. Then it's Max and Lando. And then both Ferraris P5 and P7 with Ricciardo rounding out the top 10. So there's a lot for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Martinez lines up on pole position, with Pierre Gasly alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Carlos Sainz and Perez, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo, Schwartzman, Eilert, George Russell and Stroll, Matsushita, Vettel, Antonio Giovinazzi and Christian Lundgaard, Ocon, Latifi, Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Well, here we are then for the Italian Grand Prix. P1 after qualifying and pole position, and we're going to start the race with an empty track ahead of us and a clear run down to turn 1. Now, the issue is going to be the exit that we get off the line, you know, the start, the traction we get, because it's a long run down to the first corner, so it's not going to be the easiest track to hold on to the lead. Our second pole of the season, of course, a pretty decent run of form lately in terms of qualifying, and of course Spa, we got pole around there. Zandvoort weren't so great, but we're back on top here in Monza and we're P1, so it seems like the power circuits seem to suit our car and our general pace. Anyway, strategy wise for this one is a very simple one stop, soft to medium. It kind of writes itself, and fuel wise we're running minimum. It is a power circuit, we're currently 3.4 laps negative, but it should be fine. No rain forecast here today, so it should be a decent race. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully, you know, for me personally, I'm hoping for a bit of a boring race. You know, not a lot of entertainment, but you never know. We may get surprised, and the first thing we've got to try and do is get a clean start. So let's jump into it and let's see what happens. Okay, let's do this. Hopefully, a decent start as the lights are on. And lights out, and away we go. We bogged down massively off the line. Didn't quite get the release. Gasly and Verstappen fly past as we head down towards turn 1. Nowhere to go. We're just stuck on the inside line. And Sainz gets a flying start as well. Looks like we've held on to P4 for now. Perez is pressurising from behind, so we're going to have to use the battery to stay ahead. But that is a pretty poor start from us, losing 3 places. I was expecting bad news, but that was a bit worse than I anticipated, so not ideal. One of the home favourites, Carlos Sainz, of course, in the Ferrari has gotten ahead of us. We do have a Ferrari engine in the back of this thing, of course, can't forget. So technically, a bit like Imola, it's our second home race, so important to try and do well here. But as you guys remember from round 2, the last time we got an engine penalty, or an engine issue, sorry, was in Imola. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself, because I am running a fair bit of engine where you may have noticed my battery doesn't charge up to 100%. That's because the energy store, which broke down in Monza, or in Imola, sorry, since then we're using the second one basically this entire season. So that is starting to get some wear now. You can see the engine in the bottom right, the current situation in regards to engine wear. So I'm going to try and stretch this energy store, but we are going to have to take a penalty at some point in the closing races. Nonetheless, on to lap 2 now, and Sainz struggling to keep up with the pace already here, so let's try and see if we can line up for the pass. If I can nail these first 2 corners, maybe we may have a chance into the next chicane, but it seems like good traction there from Sainz. I'm not going to be able to match that for now. We may have to wait until DRS. Already starting to show our pace here. I think once we get DRS, we'll be able to get past Sainz quite easily. Gap currently 4 tenths. We may have a chance into turn 1 here.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Not quite close enough as Schwarzman pits. Interesting.
Robert is coming in for his stop.
But yeah, Sainz can't quite keep up with Verstappen and Gasly, so it's important that we pass right now. We're pretty strong in the middle sector, so I'm going to try and see if I can get Sainz ASAP here. Let's see if we can just close the gap through this section. Maybe not. Terrible chicane there. The curbs are so tough to navigate around this track now since the latest patch. You basically have to stay off all the curbs now here. Okay, this time we should get Sainz quite comfortably with the assistance of DRS. Meanwhile, Verstappen about to pass Gasly for the race lead. So there's going to be some movements here on this lap. Let's try and get Carlos first and foremost as Verstappen sets a new purple lap.
Okay, start actively conserving fuel please, or we won't be finishing today.
Look at the speed, 361 k's. As we just about get Sainz into turn 1, they're turning in a bit early to stop him from re-challenging up the inside. Crucially, Gasly has held on to the lead, so Verstappen not able to get past just yet. Gap 1.2, we may just be able to nick some DRS here on the back straight and keep the DRS train alive. Purple in sector 1 as well. That's going to help. I need to nail the chicane and the Lesmo. I think we're just going to miss out here, unless this is absolutely perfect, which it is. And I think we've done enough just to nick a bit of DRS. Yes, we have. Okay, nice. Let's keep this pressure on then. Well, I think Verstappen might go for the move on Gasly here. No, not quite. Okay, this should be a new personal best. It should also be a new fastest lap, hopefully. Yes, it is. As Verstappen goes for the move on Gasly. This time he's going to get it done. So, Verstappen P1, new race leader. Let's try and not lose too much time here. And let's try and pass Gasly as well. And get onto the back of Max. Well, I've got to say, Gasly's got some very strong straight line speed. It's going to be hard to get past him as long as he is within DRS of Verstappen. You can see how much he pulls away, even on the straight. I can't really make a dent, and I think he's going to repass Max here, to be fair. Verstappen not able to shake off Pierre, and Pierre's in a fighting mood today. This will get interesting. Maybe Helmut Marko might get on the blower and say, listen Pierre, let Verstappen go, we're fighting for a championship here. As Perez passes Carlos Sainz behind us. Yeah, I can't see any way through right now. The undercut may be an option, or the overcut possibly as well. Ooh, had a moment there. Yellow flag behind. That's Sergio Perez.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Okay. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, copy that.
We can run with that. Seems like Perez is slowing down behind. And he's out of the race. Okay. Big moment for the Constructors' Championship. And also for the drivers as well. That pretty much rules Perez out of contention for the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors now, it means it's a straight fight between myself and Verstappen. So if we can beat Max today, we pull back some points in the Constructors' Championship. Look at this, Gasly and Verstappen completely side by side here through Curva Grande. And they're going to go side by side into the next chicane. This could be spicy. The Honda power unit is pretty strong around here as we look to have a look. Trying to get the drive off that corner. Can we get Max into the Lesmo? Trying to have a look at my championship rival into Lesmo 2.
Flag.
Oh, yellow flag. Did we pass him in time?
Someone's come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
Yes, we have. It's going to be a drag race into Ascari. I'm trying to edge ahead. Do we have to juice? Yes, we do. I'll take a corner cut warning on the way through. I don't mind that. And Sainz has gone past as well. We get a second warning though. That's not ideal. So 2 warnings. And now all of a sudden we are on the brink of a time penalty. But we've got past Verstappen. That's all that matters. Although Max is now fighting back versus Sainz. But crucially, they are not going to have DRS on me on this pit straight. So I've got a chance here to pull away with Pierre. Work together and try to build a gap. So let's close in on Gasly. Well, Verstappen's been caught right in the thick of it here because he's now P6. Both Ferraris and Lando have gotten ahead of him. So Verstappen in trouble. Meanwhile, I'm not quite finding it easy to get past Gasly. He's so fast on the straight. It's really difficult to get close. But again, I don't mind. We're pulling away, to be honest. So it's quite effective this way. Maybe I'm forcing Gasly to use his battery, but it's working as we take over the laps here. We're going to box in principle lap 12, but we'll see what Pierre does, whether we overcut or undercut. Okay, this might be the play. We're closing in on Pierre. 2/10 is the gap. Meant to play lap 12. I might aim for lap 11 and maybe even lap 10. This track is very, very limited. My rear tyres are going off because of the traction zone, so it's going to be hard to make an overcut work. So this could be the move.
Approaching the pit window, you'll be on the mediums.
Here we go. We're going to breeze past. It seems like Pierre may have run out of battery because the last lap was a bit easier to keep up with him. So this may be our cue and our time to pull away here. We're pulling away from the Mercedes of Norris and the 2 Ferraris. So this might be our chance now to open a gap and see what kind of pace we have. I wonder if Gasly is running out of battery. Crucial phase. Let's see if Pierre Gasly is going to pit this lap. Yes, he does. That could be the hard tyre, to be fair. That was the default strategy. So overcut time for us. We've got to try and stay ahead on this lap, and we're going to box this lap. Hopefully we've done enough. Here we go. In lap time. Let's see. Using up pretty much all of my battery into Parabolica. And now the pit entry has to be perfect. Need a quick stop to go with this as well. Easy does it. I was a little bit safe, but that's okay. Better safe than sorry. Pierre exiting Ascari right now on the mini-map. Verstappen pits. Norris stays out, interestingly. Leclerc pits as well. So let's see where Verstappen is. He was 6 seconds behind us, so he's lost a lot of time with the AI battles.
Exit now.
2.7 is not great. Pierre crossing the start finish in the next 3 seconds. It's going to be close.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Pierre is on the hard tyre, as I predicted, and there he is. We're out ahead of him, so the overcut has paid off. He hasn't got the pace on the 1 lap undercut on the hard tyre to make it work, and we're ahead on mediums. So there we go, that's what we wanted. That is net race lead and more than a second clear, so outside of the DRS range. So what we've got to do now is keep it clean. We can vibe. We've already got the fastest lap, so bring this one home, and it could be a big 25 points coming our way. Lundgaard pits, Sebastian Vettel pits, everyone else, Russell, Norris, the whole lot, but Russell and Norris onto mediums, which makes more sense. So Lando, I've got to say, is probably favourite here for P2 on that medium tyre. Verstappen's gone for mediums as well, worth noting, so Max following my strategy, which makes more sense. So Max can still get P2 in this race, in fairness, on that compound. Well, the good thing now is that we have a 3-second gap over Pierre Gasly, so even if I get a penalty, we've got that safety net, that bit of precaution in case we do mess up for the final time. At the minute, I feel pretty good. Just driving at my own pace. I'm not forced to drive fast. I'm just, doing what the tyres can and driving within that kind of limitation. I'm not trying to push like a qualifying lap right now, so the risk of penalty is low. I'm just keeping it smooth and consistent.
The energy store is getting worn, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
Well, I can't do much about that. I'm holding a lot of charge usually because the car is super efficient. Just trying to do the best I can right now. Obviously, I'm a little bit concerned about the engine, knowing my history of engine blow-ups. And there's still a long way to go, so there's plenty of time for me to go a bit paranoid about the engine situation, but still. Right now, looking on the left-hand side, you can see Norris P2 battling with Gasly. Verstappen now getting involved in the battle as well. Well, right now, Gasly, Norris and Verstappen are locked into a crazy battle for P2. Literally crazy. They're even 3 wide right now, I think. We're not involved, we're just doing our thing, driving our own race. I've done my bit of, trying to push at a good pace. We've got the gap we need. We can just chill now for the last 3 laps and make sure we bring the car home in one piece. But you can see behind, it's still just constantly changing. Right now, Verstappen back down to P4. He was P2 at one point. Fall back to P2, but now Gasly's P2 on the hard tyre, which is probably the better tyre right now when you factor in the tyre wear. Okay, here we are, last lap of the race. I'm trying to push for a purple lap. I don't think I've got enough in the tank though. But it's going to be a win. Pole, race win, and I'm not quite sure if we'll get fastest lap, but I'll tell you what, it's been a great race and a cracking effort.
Oh, alright, I think maybe I can start turning some of these assists off.
Absolutely awesome. Just amazing. Well done.
Here we are then, a thoroughly deserved win in Italy after another excellent Grand Prix. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here comes your top three making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
Well, there we go then, race done, and it's a big win here today. Not just the win, we do officially secure the fastest lap as well. So, overall, pole, race win, fastest lap, we'll take that. You know, that is a massive W. So, yeah, overall, a really strong weekend. The car was fantastic, and we take home a well-deserved 26 points. Pierre Gasly P2 in the end on the hard tyre. Lando P3, Verstappen only P4. In the end, he misses out on the podium, and that is big for the championship. That's a 14-point swing, and that is big because we now take the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Sainz P5 for Ferrari ahead of George Russell, P6 for Alpine. Bottas, Stroll, Vettel and Tsunoda ran out the points, with Giovinazzi missing out on the top 10. So does Ocon, Latifi, Schumacher, Schwartzman P15, Leclerc P16 as well. He had some issues, he dropped down a P16 in the end. Ilott, Ricciardo as well, both McLarens P17 and P18 ahead of Matsushita, Mazepin, and then Lundgaard retired at the end along with Perez. So let's look at the standings, because after that race, things are pretty decent. We take the lead with 9 points clear from Verstappen. Lando up to P3, he overtakes Perez, who's in P4. Gasly P5 with that second place finish as Schwartzman drops down to P9 as Sainz overtakes him. So quite a few changes and a lot of shuffling around, but crucially, we now lead the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors, we're P2. The gap to Red Bull, 45 points. So we're getting that gap down, but we do need Schwartzman to perform. He's dropped the ball recently. I've re-signed him, and things haven't improved. So a bit of a disappointment, to be honest with you, as Ferrari overtake McLaren for P5 in the midfield. But yeah, that is it from me here today, guys, for this race at Monza. Overall, a good day at the office. I think we take home a well-deserved 26 points overall, and I've got to say the car was fantastic in this race. I really enjoyed it. We kept it clean even on that double warning, which was really key for us. And yeah, overall, we go to the next race with optimism and positivity, hoping for a better result, and hopefully we can catch up even more in the championship. But anyway, that's it for me here today. Hopefully you enjoyed the race. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more, as always, for daily F1 content. As always, check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them. And finally, a big shout out goes to the channel members for supporting the content. But that is it from me here today at Monza, and I'll see all of you next time. Until then, take care, and that's goodbye from me.